All right, hello everyone. Give us a second here as we get ourselves situated. We're going to be streaming this as well. God willing, that is. We will see if we're going to be streaming this. Hello, everyone. If you're just tuning in, please drop in the chat. Where are you tuning in from? Just give us a second here because we're trying to stream this as well. Wow, Christina was not messing around. You must have been on before and heard me ask this stuff. So she's hanging out in Toronto. I'm sure it's a beautiful, sunny, warm day there. California, Cleveland, Ohio. Very cool. If you're just tuning in and connecting to audio, I see a few of you just able to do that. Please let us know where you're tuning in from. Allentown, PA. That's amazing. I'm in Pipersville, Pennsylvania right now, and I don't want to speak for any coworkers here, but okay, so Reed's in the actual chat, Brenda.
Okay, yes, I'll look at it.
Reed, so we're about to send you a separate link in Slack, and that's the one that you want to join, and we'll see you in a second. All right, we have Alberta, Canada, Chicago, Akron, Ohio. Is there anywhere warm? Oh, nice. There's Reed. Hey, Reed.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Fantastic. Had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome to everybody. I guess you're giving people a couple minutes to sign on.
We're just seeing where they're tuning in from. Everyone's like me. They're in all the cold places right now. I don't go back to North Carolina till tomorrow morning. Oh, Louisiana. That's a little better.
I just did a post-grad interview, which we do with every single graduate of the FDN course. And she was from Canada, way up where I used to live. And yeah, it was pretty chilly up there.
This is like, well, Reed, because you obviously were born in Canada, so you totally get this, but you've been in Southern California for so long. Everyone in the Northeast promises themselves they're going to do the snowbird thing. And I was so proud of myself for finally getting down a little farther south this year. And then I was like, oh man, I miss home, whatever. And I came back for Thanksgiving this week. And my gosh, no, I don't need 30-degree weather anymore. I can do 55, 60 plus for the rest of my life. So what we're going to be doing today, folks, is we have actually quite a few cool topics for this, but this is really one of the last opportunities since it is Cyber Monday. This is the last day for our Black Friday sale. I will say it directly just in case you haven't heard it somehow throughout the week. We have $1,000 off the course if you choose a payment plan with us. We actually have $1,250 off the course for people who choose to pay in full and are able to pay in full. And what's nice about paying in full is you actually get an additional $800 in bonuses, credit towards advanced courses, credit towards lecture packages, which if you don't know what those are, I'll keep it simple because it's not the point of today. You can look at those as advanced marketing materials that are made by FDNs, well, really made by Reed and proven by Reed to work. The other thing that we'll be able to do today is Reed and I are going to have a conversation around some things, but we want you to ask questions. If you have anything that you need to know about this course, if you have anything that you need to know about what you can do afterwards with it, this is the time. You got the big man himself. So I'm excited. I always love getting to do these with you, Reed. It's becoming a yearly tradition. And, you know, what's really exciting, if I can say, is this is usually the webinar or the live that we do where we just start to see sign up after sign up while we're live, because people just needed a little bit more information, you know, for them. And then once they're good to go, they pull the trigger. So I'm excited to see who hops on with us or hops on board to FDN during this live.
Fantastic. I see Brandy's here, which is great because Brandy can answer any question, and along with the rest of us, the audience has a great minds to pick if they want to pick our brains. That'd be wonderful. And yeah, what you just described, that the total of $2,000 off, you know, $800 plus the you pay the once thing. No one will ever see that deal again, Ev. And
right.
You know, we said it last year, and then obviously because we keep expanding the course, it's an expanding universe, expanding FDN course, and just keeps getting better and better, more and more things that, believe it or not, I get the best ideas from the people who took the course. So I've interviewed over 2,000 graduates, and when you hear things a couple times, you just make it better. Okay, we need to add that. We discuss it with the crew, and yeah, I think we have a total of 50 crew now. So when people join the FDN course, it's really a community. It's really a family. You add that to the over 1,000 members the alumni. I'm talking about the professional members,
Mhm.
and it's really quite a group.
Well, and Reed, you've been doing, well, sorry, we'll get into this, but I do think this matters for the audience. I think it's a cool thing for them to know. You've been doing that feedback survey, if you will, that post grad interview since I graduated 7.5 years ago. And it got so busy that I know that you have people that help with that now. But this is what's nuts, guys. Reed still hops on these things. So at this point, if every single post grad interview is a 30-minute slot, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it's fair to say, because Malcolm Gladwell talks about 10,000 hours to just be a master in anything. You're probably a fifth or a third of the way there to being a master just in post grad interviews. You've probably done thousands of hours of those, right?
Yeah, I never stopped to count,
That's
but
nuts.
it's a lot, and I'm pleased as I can be. It's one of my best parts of the day to do a post grad interview, because you have this excited, really enthusiastic new member of the community, and I get to be the guy that clicks the button when they see me. I mean, Brandy does some and Dawn does some. You can pick who you want, but the ones who pick me usually want to say hi and how much they enjoyed the course and how excited they are. And yeah, they're really excited. So it's wonderful to be able to click the button that says you are actually finished.
Mhm.
And what that clicking that button does, well, a couple of things. It sends all the ideas, suggestions that I got to the staff so we can discuss it in meetings, because I write everything down. I'm actually interviewing the person. I don't just want to hear how wonderful things were. I want to hear what could we do to make the course better? What would you like to have seen?
Right.
And some of the best suggestions came from those who took the course. So yeah, I love doing that. Again, Monday morning, what's the first appointment I had? Post-grad interview. Start the week off right. And I will finish the week with my 2 calls that I do every single week for 15 years for the trainees and for the graduates, a live call with everybody. So we're deeply and intimately connected community of people, and it's would be wonderful to get some new members from our calls. This month has been going great. Actually, last month we're starting off the month right, correct?
Yes. Yes, sir. All right. So let's get into this today, guys. We're going to do, if you're someone, because this comes up in our community all the time, if you're someone that maybe struggles a little bit with the mindset side, how can I do my own business? Like, I want to do this. I just don't know how to charge clients. We're going to touch on all of that today. And again, we'll get to your questions as well. But Reed, one of the things I wanted to ask you about first and touch on first, because you got to speak about this at the Hicks conference to some degree in San Diego, California, back in October. The future of functional medicine, functional healthcare. For someone like you, I can't even imagine how exciting this is, because I've been in the space now, technically speaking, for 10 years, and I'm so excited about what's to happen. It's almost like all of our work is about to just be made fully public, and people will finally have the chance, if they want to do this, to do this. But for someone like you that's been in this space for literally decades, I imagine this is a super exciting time. But I don't know that the average person really realizes how big this is. So can we talk about what is the future of functional healthcare, functional medicine, and how does FDN fit into that in your vision?
We're in a leadership position, as you know. Most of medicine are market followers. So people get sick, and along comes a practitioner or a company that makes things, whether it be drugs or supplement, whatever, and says, here, try this, try this, try this. And so there's a huge market there for drugs and supplements and every kind of therapy there is, and they're following the market. They're saying, "Oh, you're sick. Oh, what's your you have this, you have that." Matter of fact, they make up diseases because they have a solution for it. So we're in the opposite category. We're market leaders, which means we have, from day one, have always tried to figure out, well, what's really wrong? What's really wrong? Me as a non-physician coming into a practice where they made me say it. I'm going to be the last person you need to see. So that has nothing to do with selling supplements, or, I mean, even though we include them in our protocols, or drug, it's not take this for that. So we're in a complete total leadership position. I'm pleased as hell to see what was called alternative back then. My dad used to call it voodoo. And quackery and all kinds of things we got accused of back in the 90s when I started. We were alternative. But guess what? What we do works. So it became complementary. We started getting a nod. Oh yeah, well, some of that were from conventional. And that evolved into integrative, where now customers were actually demanding that their regular physicians, hey, what about vitamins? What about exercise? What about sleep and the different natural protocols? So alternative became, or has morphed a bit into complementary. Complementary became integrative. And now finally, to answer your question, finally there's functional medicine, but it has not finished evolving. Of course it's going to evolve. It is still way too bound in the diagnosis and treatment model. People, physicians, well-meaning, intentioned, and with good hearts and the desire to serve, go to a functional medicine training now and come back, oh, I'm now a functional medicine guy, but they're still writing prescriptions for snotty noses or whatever it is. They're bound by their licensure and their standard of care and that kind of a thing. So I see FDN is continuously leading the charge towards how can we get the people to take responsibility for their health, and what do they have to do? What do they have to test? The tests we run and the protocols. So that's the future. It's going to be. It is. We are the future. We're doing it already. Data driven, all natural, self-directed, drug-free, natural solutions.
And what's really kind of cool is this isn't just, Reed saying this. I'm sure you guys trust him, but still, we're seeing evidence of this elsewhere. Really, for me, I've heard these things a million times, but I think it's solidified differently in my mind at that Hicks conference that I mentioned when Dr. Tracy got up there. Guys, these are people that are traditionally trained doctors, MDs, that now have, seen the light, so to speak. They do some different things than they were doing before. Let's put it that way. And these people will get on a stage and say, I only hire FDN practitioners to help out my clients and patients that come in. I mean, that's really remarkable. And that's not the only way to be an FDN. In fact, I wouldn't even consider that the norm right now. The norm still is taking that more entrepreneurial approach. But the fact that someone that has that conventional training and then goes into this space says, these are the people that I want to work with and I want my clients to see, that's pretty telling. We can get up here and say fancy stuff all the time. I host the podcast, Reed started the company. Of course, we're going to have our bias, but Dr. Tracy and those other types of people that hire FDNs, they don't have a bias. They just want to do whatever works. And so when they see that these people can get trained well enough in literally less than 10 months at FDN, that you can be good to go and out there actually helping people, I think that's a really amazing thing. So I see us in this leadership position too. And this is both a good and a bad thing. People, I don't think, understand, again, since we live in this bubble, we see all these alternative people on our Instagram feeds or our Facebook feeds or YouTube shorts. So we start to get this impression that people know about this stuff. And now, and I mean this, guys, in a totally 100% apolitical way, I think we can be adults here. But clearly, there are political figures that are talking about alternative health. We can all acknowledge that in America, especially. When that's happening, the average person was never thinking about this stuff. Like, we think, oh my gosh, we've been talking about that forever. It's good to hear it. But this is a time where tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people are hearing about these things for the first time. They're not going and hiring, one of the politicians to work with them for their alternative health coaching, right? Those people don't offer that. What they do, and I'm very thankful for this, is they plant this seed in the consumer's mind that this stuff even exists. And now that validates you when you're out there on social media. It validates you when you're out there giving talks in your local community. So we are going to be the people that continue to help serve this new wave of consumers that say, wait, chronic disease, there's things that I can do about that naturally. These people aren't stupid. Think about what we've all experienced. There was a time in all of our lives, most likely, unless you were fortunate enough to be raised by parents who were all into alternative medicine, most of us weren't. There was a time in our lives we did not think our diagnoses or our symptoms were somehow things that you could do something about naturally. We were all in this system. I know I certainly was. So as people are having those awakenings, they're going to do exactly what you and I did. They're going to Dr. Google, Dr. YouTube, checking out social media. So we have a real opportunity here. I think FDN again is already in this leadership position, but you as a potential practitioner have the opportunity to hop into that leadership position as well. I see some questions coming in. We will get to all of these, just so you know. I wanted to move on if we can read, sorry, I said a lot. So do you have anything about that? Because I wanted to move on to the money stuff, but I realized I always do this where I say a bunch and then I just try to transition the conversation.
Let's answer some questions. Sure.
Sure. All right. So Anna asked a pretty specific question here. Is the Dutch knowledge base included in the program? And I actually like this question early on because this can help us talk about what foundationals we use as labs and why. So the specific question was, is Dutch knowledge base included in the program though?
We include it as an advanced course because the way I learned was the basics first. And so that's how I teach. I want you to understand the foundations, the anatomy, the physiology, and the biochemistry. So I teach the anatomy, physiology, and biochemistry of hormone testing, which is very inclusive. It's very expansive. So I teach it using saliva because that's how I learned. Now, can you just start running the Dutch test or any dried urine test, or for that matter, wet urine, which is the gold standard, by the way. It's not dried urine. The PA will tell you that the Dutch test is dried urine. There's other dried urine tests. They're not the gold standard. And the gold standard is wet urine. In other words, collecting 24 hours and pouring some of it into a tube and shipping it to the lab. That's the gold standard, but no one wants to do it. So what I teach you the foundations, there's more in there than you could remember. But once you have the foundations deeply embedded, then you can run any test.
Awesome. Thank you. This is a great question. Christina said, what is the difference between a FDNP and a naturopathic doctor?
Well, we're not licensed. So we don't want licensure. So when I was in California 25 years ago, naturopaths were not licensed and they had a lot of freedom to just pursue what's best for the client. In other words, the number one driving motivator, the purpose being served must be the client. And as soon as you start serving another purpose, like being controlled by, I call it handcuffs of licensure and standard of care, then you have other considerations that aren't just what's best for the client. So we prefer to stay unlicensed, and we will remain unlicensed. The next question, I just saw one pop up, and I like the FDN program accredited, yes, by several organizations and quasi-regulatory bodies. We're not accredited by the U.S. Department of Education, of course. We're not a college course or something like that, where you could transfer the credits to your degree or something. Most people come to us, by the way, Anna, they already have a degree in something, or at least college credits towards something, and not necessarily in science. Some have kinesiology and human biology and things like that. The same thing that you would undergrad to get the next level, master's or doctorate degree. So people come to us with that already. Most FDNs have a college degree in something. They also have a certificate or two already in whether it be fitness or nutrition or something. They also have some experience. And their experience, even with that background, is that they can't make it because they don't know enough. They don't actually have a practical way of applying all that knowledge. That's why the FDN course is 100% practical, applicable, put it right into use type of training. And that came out of me just trying to explain and teach how I was successful in practice. And so there's lots of bodies that recognize us. And oh, by the way, some of these organizations allow FDNs because they know how deep our training is, how broad and deep the training is. It's a very robust program. So some of these organizations say, hey, that qualifies you to test out of our programs. Like with the American Association of Drugless Practitioners, will automatically give any FDN who joins that organization their holistic health practitioner certificate. So you're almost getting 2 for 1 when you become an FDN practitioner. And
Danielle,
others are a little more work, a little more hoops to jump through, but not much. I've done it all. I have my doctor of nutrition. I don't brag about it. I don't talk about why, because I just went to see if I could do it. But it was the FDN certification that qualified me to take those tests, and they're very difficult. I have to tell you, they taxed the hell out of me. But yeah,
I don't even think I knew that. With
yeah.
how often we hang out. Yeah, you really don't
Yeah,
say that.
you can go to the American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners and take a test or two. You got to take a couple. Brandy did it, and she's paved the way for me. I said, I don't know, that's pretty scary. And so I went and did it, and I passed on the first try. That's your goal.
Awesome.
Pass
Let's go
on.
back because we did accidentally miss these. So Danielle said, is pediatrics taught in this program?
In a way, because the principles of healing apply to everybody. Matter of fact, dogs and cats too. The principles of healing apply to all people. And my favorite people to work with were children. So I coached football for 15 years. While I was working in the clinic, I had lots of kids, and lots of moms coming through the clinic who would say, Rita, I feel so much better now that I'm working with you. Can you help my kid? And I would say, I don't know. Let's run some labs and see. And that's how FDN works. I don't know. Well, I want to help. I'm going to try to help. Let's get some data and find out. And if it's okay, I'm going to tell a super quick story. I'll make it short. Mom, one of those moms, Reed, can you help my son? I don't know. What's wrong with him? Well, they're trying to send him home from school if I don't put him on medication. What? I mean, there's a doctor at school? No, just the teacher and principal were trying to get this mom to drug her kid or they didn't want him in class. Now, that's just, to me, insane. And I'm like, gee, I hope I can help, but I still don't know. We got to run some labs. Long story short, I can tell you the details that are fascinating, this case. But within 3 weeks of changing this young man, by the way, he was 9. They're trying to drug a 9-year-old. Drug of choice back then, 25 years ago, was Ritalin, which is a class 2 narcotic, the same classification of cocaine. And they wanted to put a 9-year-old on it. And we ended up running some labs, changing some things in the young man's environment, including food and sleep and exercise and all kinds of things. And within 3 weeks, by the way, I never met the young man. His mom did it all for him. So I worked through the parents. It's amazing what you can do. This principal, the school calls me up and says, Mr. Davis, I tracked you down through the mom, and this boy is a different boy. He's paying attention. He's not poking the other kids. He's not bursting out loud in the class inappropriately and all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, to this day, I have chills running up my spine thinking about it because how rewarding that sounds. That's the emotional part of FDN that it's hard to explain. But when you're hearing that and you're going, oh, wow. Then, of course, he blew it by saying, what'd you put him on? He goes, so what'd you put him on? As it was just, something in a bottle, which kind of ticked me off. But anyway, the long story short is, hell yeah, it's pediatric. It's everything, anything in between. Teenagers, a little tougher to work with. Adults, have their idiosyncrasies. But kids heal fast, so they're totally fun to work with.
Miranda, I love this next question. How difficult is it to get a platform, like a business platform, I guess, started when finishing the FDN program if you are starting from scratch? If I may, I'd love to help with this one because, Miranda, I actually became fascinated by this. I'm someone who does the podcast here at FDN. And so now I've interviewed, because there's been like over about 400 podcasts, but in terms of actual interviews, there's been over 300. And I'd watch over and over again some of these practitioners come out of the gates and bam, they're replacing jobs and they're building businesses that they've never built. And then others I'm watching, and sometimes they're the smartest people in the room, and they were having more trouble with that. So I was like, what is going on here? Like, how is there such a difference? And so the reality is, Miranda, as much willingness as you have to expose your knowledge to the world, that's about as fast or slow as you're going to go. So what does that mean? In America, which you might be in, I don't know if you're in, I'm sorry if you're, well, I don't know if I'm sorry if you're not, depending on the health side of things, if we're looking at it only from that lens, but 48%, 1 in 2 people in America have a chronic disease. So I don't need to be an Einstein business mogul to go out there and realize that 1 out of 2 people are sick. And then if I start sharing some information, I'm going to attract some of those people, or at least pique their curiosity. There are advanced business skills that some of our FDNs have. There's no doubt. We have FDNs that are in their 30s that have a 7-figure business and hire multiple FDN practitioners under them. They've actually created jobs for them. So that there's levels to this for sure. But if we're just talking about starting the business, getting it to a place where you feel comfortable, maybe switching careers if that's something that you want to do, or just adding in a part-time thing, it's about as hard as it is. Oh, sorry, I should say this. The difficulty is correlated with your willingness or unwillingness to go out there and talk to people. Now, do we support you in that way? Yes, we do. So one of the things that we have are Reed's famous lecture packages, we call them. So these are lectures that Reed has actually built himself, actually done himself. They've been updated for 2024 and now 2025. These are things that people are still giving to this day. I actually gave one of my first ones in April of 2023. That was my first one ever. Still worked for me just fine. So those lecture packages are things that you can go copy from us, and then you can go use for marketing if you're an in-person talk type of individual. If you're someone that's a little nervous or scared of the business side completely, one thing that we haven't mentioned today, Reed, is the optional business school at FDN. So again, this is optional, but if you buy that with the main course, you actually automatically get it at a 50% discount. So it's $3,000 USD. If it's purchased after graduating FDN, it's only $1,500 USD if you buy it with the main course. If you're doing a payment plan, you can also mix it into that. So if you really feel like you need some support with there, I would consider the business school. Feel free to ask any more questions about it. But if you're someone that's like, no, I'm willing to share this stuff, I don't do that right now, you're going to be fine. There's so many people out there that need help with this. And we teach you how to onboard someone, of course, in the main FDN course. The business stuff, though, the business school, I'm sorry, that's the marketing, that's the technology side. If you really need some help with those things, I would consider that. So that's about how hard I consider it. It's just your willingness to share stuff. What do you think, Reed? Because I mean, I know for you, you are kind of a natural entrepreneurial person, but even for the average individual, do you think it's very hard to start a platform with this system?
I think it's very easy, actually. And on those post-grad interviews that I mentioned earlier, that's often one of the questions is, what do I do next? And I tell people, go start a business checking account. That's all you have to do. You're in business if you have a business checking account. You do it a DBA, you file a fictitious business name statement. You can do it online in most counties. It's a county thing. Then you go to the bank and you say, I want to open a bank account under me. So it's Reed Davis doing business as FDN or whatever you call it something. You're in business. You don't need a degree. You don't need a fancy course. We have a great course that walks you through that and many other steps. But think of this, Kevin, I like to say, when I built an amazing practice, I did it with a pager and a fax machine. It didn't have internet. There was internet, but the only guy on it was Joe Mercola. And everything else there was nothing. It was just, and I made my own crappy web page eventually. But you're in business if you have a business checking account. So, and that's it. Just, it's as simple as that. Then your objective as a business person is that people take money from their bank account and put it into your bank account. That now you're in business, you're receiving revenue. It's as simple as that. And what you do with that revenue is another story. But you're in business if you have that, and if you have a calendar. So you need a business checking account and a calendar that you set up your hours. What hours are you going to be practicing? Because you don't want to tell people, call me anytime. They never will. You have to say, my hours are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 1 to 4. I have a 1 o'clock this Thursday available. Can we talk then? And maybe I can help you. So every single aspect of this, and someone asked for background. I don't want to go into it on this call, but there's lots of calls where I do explain my background. Go search for any podcast that I've done. I've done 200 podcasts, so it shouldn't be too hard to find. I tell my background story, and I keep things simple, really simple, whether it's the business side and building up this practice that was huge, where they demanded I start teaching. Everyone, you have to teach, Reed, you got to teach. So I started teaching in 2008, and that has taken on its own life. But I spent 10 years in that office, just being a practitioner, what you want to be, with a pager and a fax machine, and the willingness to go talk to people in libraries and
That's
grocery stores and wherever, yoga studios and gyms, Pilates, and places. I would go and just get the owner to just huddle a few people up, and I always got customers,
Mhm.
mostly through that sort of public speaking channel. But I may have gone off topic there a little bit,
No,
but
no, no,
really,
this is perfect because people need to realize how, like, business is both simple and complicated. When you're running something like FDN, well, like you said, 50 team members here now, that starts to get a little complicated. When it's just starting out, entrepreneurship is just a thing of just start, just come up with the offer, say, this is what I'm doing. But like Reed said, you need that business checking account. That's about it. And that's pretty simple. You can watch a YouTube video on how to set that up and be done in, 5-10 minutes.
go to your
And then you
bank,
need to
talk to
take
your
payment.
teller. Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how easy it really is. Now that's if you want to be, by the way, because you mentioned it earlier, Ev, and that was good, that FDN and FDN it's a way of thinking, it's a way of helping people. And if you want to help people, you need a program, you need a way that works. And so we provide that. So you could either be in business for yourself, and I'm an independent health entrepreneur. No shame in that, right? I just wanted to, the reason I created FDN was for me and my own practice and the clinic that I worked in. I didn't know it was going to become this worldwide thing. Had no clue. But I just wanted to be successful as an entrepreneur. I have an entrepreneurial spirit, and I know where the bread's buttered, and I'll teach you those things. But if you don't want to screw around with blogging and lecturing and all the other stuff that you could do, like we spend money on ads now, we're advertisers, but you could just fulfill that function of helping people working in a clinic or situation where other people are doing all that. They're bringing the customers and you're running the labs and doing the interpretations and coaching them up for a few months on how to get better. Really, we're all just educators. We're teachers. You could say coaches, but that's taken on a bit of a tinge
Sure.
because there's so many coaches that don't run labs and don't know as much as what they could or what we teach. So we're going to up level that coach. But even doctors, the word doctor comes from Latin docere, to teach. So we're all teachers,
Mhm.
and we'll teach you how to teach.
All right. So as you guys can tell, it's a question and topic that we're very passionate about. So Christina, we'll move on to you. Because the program is so robust, how do most people find the learning curve and retention of all the information? It's a fair question.
Well, you could answer this, or Brandy could
Sure.
come on.
I could definitely cover it.
Brandy could cover this. Everyone, all of my 50 team members, by the way, I think it's 49 actually, but all but everyone except for maybe bookkeeping is an FDN graduate. All the mentors, all the clinical advisors, all the instructors, the supervisors, administration, everybody except bookkeeping is an FDN practitioner. So anyone who works for me and 4,000 people who've taken the course, 1,000 members of the professional association, which is where you want to get to, they could all answer this question. It's taught on a gradient. It's called a gradient. You you get step by step. And you know what that comes from? How I learned it. Remember, I had no background in medicine and was told, read these people coming in the clinic, you got to be the last person they see. They've all been to 6 or 8 or 10 practitioners, and it hasn't done anything for them, not enough. And so you got to figure out what's actually wrong with them and teach them how to fix it. Teach them how to live themselves out of the problems they've lived themselves into. So it took me 10 years because I'm a slow learner. But I ran thousands of labs on thousands of people. And that's what I teach you. It's on a gradient, the same gradient that I learned. And it turned out pretty well.
And Christina, obviously I'm only one person, but if it helps at all, I'm one of the rare people that I don't have any like formal college per se. I was the guy though in middle school, high school. I could show up. I didn't have to do the homework, and thankfully I was lucky enough to be able to pass this stuff. So I was very happy to do FDN because for me, it was the highest form of education that I've done. And it was something despite the passion, I did have to study. I had to review the things and get it done. But even 7.5 years ago, the course was designed in such a way that if you had the will to do it, you can do it. Now with the additional support, yes, you are going to have to study. We do not ever want to misinterpret it that just because it's an online course, this is going to be a walk in the park. And in fact, I don't think any of us do want that, right? Because that's why I'm just saying it's kind of interesting. If you start searching on Google, FDN has an amazing amount of respect, and you'll get very mixed opinions about lots of other places. And I don't think it's that the places are bad. It's just that I always make this reference on podcasts and stuff. So I apologize if you guys have heard it before, but I did another health coach program. I won't say what it is. My 12-year-old cousin, he's a sharp kid. He could have done that program. I legitimately could have taught a 12-year-old the content in there. It does not mean it's not helpful for other people. It just means, if a 12-year-old can do it, it's not the same level of respect. I wouldn't throw him through FDN. I think he would have struggled a little more with this. So when the education is challenging to some degree, that's when the respect comes. So can anyone do this? I do believe that 100%, especially when you have passion. When you have passion, man, you can figure out anything, and no one gets into this because they're bored. They're doing this because they have that fire for this. So you'll be good. There's so many resources. There's extra mentorship. We're one of the only places that offers direct one-on-one mentorship included in the cost of tuition. So you'll be good. All right, Jamie, why do you say teenagers are harder to work with? Is it because of hormones changing fast or simply compliance with them? Well, I'm like, have you met a teenager? It's probably the compliance thing more than anything. Hormones are relevant. We wouldn't actually, generally speaking, it depends on the age of the teenager. But if you're talking about a 13-year-old, right, we're not going to be running hormone tests with them per se. But I think that's more of a compliance thing you meant, Reed, right?
There's some physical aspects like puberty. Going through puberty can be a tough time, and that can throw some of the labs off. Some labs we don't even run because of that. But they just tend to be rebellious. I know I was kind of a jerk when I was a teenager, to my parents.
Mhm.
And so that maybe I'm just reflecting on my own again, idiosyncrasies. But younger children, they respond very quickly. They're anabolic. They're in an anabolic state. They're growing. So those things are easy to work in, and you get real fast changes. Teenagers have lots of stuff going on. They're not settled. So, but that's okay. That's okay. We love them the same and guide them and nurture them and things like that. Thank God my parents didn't kick me out of the house. At least they waited till I was 18.
Bill Trailer said, there are a lot of potential niches that I would be interested in working with. Is how to select a niche addressed in the business school portion. So Bill, it is to some degree, and because it is important, but what's cool about the person who created that and taught that for us is she did not necessarily start out that way. So she does address both types of people. If you have a bunch that you're interested in, I do recommend, and you have time, right? You're going through the course. Just think about it over the next 6 to 8 months, however long you take. But try to find that one that you do believe that you could be lit up about consistently, and that you don't mind giving an honest shot for, half a year to a year, because from a consumer standpoint and from a marketing standpoint, things become 1,000 times easier when you know who you're talking to. And you might already understand that. So I'm just letting you know. And he also said he's very looking very forward to the business school portion. Yeah, the business school, in my opinion, was one of the coolest things we ever added. I definitely would have went through it back in the day. If they had it when I graduated. I actually still went through it afterwards just because I thought it was so powerful to pick up these techniques and lessons from people who actually do FDN. That's another thing I didn't mention about business school. It's not taught by someone where it's theory. It's not something they read in a book and then told you to do. It's actual out there doing the work, replacing jobs, or they did replace a job for themselves, doing this type of work. So we're glad that you're excited about it.
With that question, I'd like to add
Sure.
that in the course, you're going to run the labs that we teach on yourself and get mentored through that by my mentors. And it's an amazing experience. Matter of fact, many people have said, and I believe, that alone is worth the price of admission. If that's all you did was run the labs on yourself and learn so that you could now run them on yourself again and again. You know, there's retesting, there's nurturing, you're on a life's journey, a life's path where now you've added the knowledge, experience and skills of lab running to your own health program. That's worth the price of admission. Did nothing else. The fact that you turn it into a business or add it to your existing business or go get a job doing it is the bonus part to me.
That's why I signed up. Never thought I would use it, and now you can't get rid of me. I'm literally, it's every part of my life is FDN somehow.
We're glad. And
Yes.
by the way, you're doing an amazing job. I put some kudos in the chat.
I saw that. Thank you, sir.
About your podcasting and stuff. You have amazing skills in that area. We're really, really proud to have you on the team.
We must be saying something good, Reed, and thank you. We must be saying something good. Nicole Benfield, sorry that I'm like 10 minutes delayed. It's just you guys got great questions. She signed up for the course, so welcome, Nicole. That's probably the first one from the live. We're glad to have you. Welcome. Damaris said, I'm interested. Oh, this is cool. I'm interested in creating a bilingual Spanish-English business platform. Is there any support there and any international accreditation? I'm a certified medical interpreter, so quite a few things here, but what would you have to say to that?
Well, there's a couple international bodies that also recognize FDN as a top-notch training program. So there's one in Australia and there's one in England, at least. In Canada, I think we're pretty popular with the, they call it the, I forget what they call it, but Brandy knows because she's in Canada. But there's numerous international bodies. And listen, if they don't know us, give us their name and contact information. We'll apply. You know, we'll let them know who we are. This is just part of the growth and evolution of our business, of the FDN training program, is to get more and more sort of recognition, if that's important to you. It was never important to me. You know, I came in this as an innocent. I had a lot to learn, but I had nothing to unlearn. You know, it was just all just learning, doing, applying. And, you know, it coalesced into FDN after 10 years. But, and that has value, regardless of what other recognition. I gave a crap about recognition. I just wanted my patients of our clinic and my clients to appreciate me and what we were doing. And that's all that really should matter in the long run. So all the other little things you can do, the fluff and stuff, yeah, we've learned that that's important too, and we've added what we can, and it isn't our main focus.
All right, I'm gonna try to help us rapid fire. Not everyone's gonna be rapid fire, but just rapid fire some of these so that we get to all of them. Okay, business school questions. Someone asked, do you take it concurrently or after graduating? You will take it. Technically speaking, it's kind of after graduating, but what we do now is we allow you, if you bought it today with the course, you are allowed to start it at the end of your modules training. So when you start to do the practicals, it's called an FDN, that's going to be the one-on-one mentorship. That's your results and recommendation sessions. That's when you get the lab test results back that Reed was talking about. You can start that now concurrently, but you would be well on your way through the course before you start that. And we did that on purpose, right? We don't want you getting confused. We need to know what service we're offering before we get to the business side. At the same time, we don't need to restrict you to the very last second because that's not helpful either. So we strategically did that. I think it was last year where we allow you now to start the business school towards the last month or two of you being in the FDN program so that you can really hit the ground running. Someone asked about pricing again. How much is the business school? So it's $1,500 when it's added on with the main course. That's very clearly labeled at checkout for you. So you would see it as an add-on. It is $3,000 if you were to buy it afterwards. Please note this is the only time also that it can be wrapped into payment plans that go out to 12 or 24 months. Those are only offered on the main side of the FDN course. So you can actually add on the business school half price and just roll it into the payments. So that's some rapid fire stuff. And then I have a rapid fire for you as well. Do we teach them how to find clients just in the main course?
I teach you how to talk to prospective clients. So whether they become a client or not is up to you. I really, my mentality isn't to go beg people to work with me. It never was. People are suffering and you have to weave your way through that. Which ones can you help? So once you know you can help a person, that's a different story. But you have, I teach you how to distinguish between who'd be a good client and people you don't want to work with. And believe it or not, there are people you should send down the road. They're not ready for you. Or they may have a complex problem you're not ready for. But the truth is, you can help anyone that you want to. And I teach you how to decide, do you want to help this person? It's very simple. It's module 15. It's all about onboarding. So in that onboarding module, Danielle, you're going to learn a lot about how to find clients. More importantly, how to distinguish what will be a good one that will end up being successful, then will end up referring you people. The goal, the holy grail of this kind of practice, which is a fee for service business, is waiting list referral based. So if everyone you work for, if you select them right, that's what I teach, then they'll all refer you their friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, and even people they don't know. They'll just say, "Oh, I know somebody." And so your business should be built eventually on referrals. And you still, though, have to go through the process of just, is that a referral that you want? And they should be waiting in line. So, yeah, the answer is yes. It's not a magic, there's no mystery to it. Talk to people, find out what their problem is, go through a onboarding process that leads to whether you can help them or not. Don't take on anyone you can't help, which might be, obstacles in their brain or mind and emotions and things like that. Like, yeah, I could help you with your fibromyalgia, but I don't like you, or you don't seem like someone who's gonna follow my lead, and so I'll teach you how to distinguish that.
Kind of the same question here. Chelsea had asked about how long, once they enroll, how long do they have to start? Now, Rita also asked, how long does it take to complete the course and how long do we have for that? So really, it's the same answer here. When you pay for the course, you have 12 months to complete it. Now, Reed, you already know what the next question is going to be. Well, wait, what if I don't complete it in 12 months? So can we touch on that real quick, please?
Well, you can easily, and you can get an extension, but we have other ways of helping. If you sign up, we feel honored that you signed up. If you're serious about helping people, about becoming an FDN practitioner, we'll help you. I have full-time staff that helps people with struggles that they come up against. If most people breeze through. Here's what I like to say. I can teach you in 10 months what it took me 10 years to learn for less than $10,000. So less than 10 grand, you can learn it in 10 months, but it took me 10 years. I'm going to save you that 10 years. If you want, you go start working at a clinic and running labs, not knowing what you're doing. That's what I did. That's why it took me 10 years to sort it out. So I'm going to just fast forward you 10 months. Just give me 10 months. People take it in 4, 6, 8. I've done post-grad interviews where people signed up in June. We had a sale similar to Black Friday in June. And people who this year, 2024, and they're already finished with the course. And I don't know how many months that is, but it's like if you have the dedication, you can get through it. By the way, they're listening to it twice. The good ones, I shouldn't have said that, but the ones who seem very enthusiastic and who are true to the purpose and mission, hey, I want to graduate and start putting this into practice. They listen to everything twice, and they attend the sessions that we provide. There's live one-on-one stuff all year long. Like week after week after week, you can get on a live call with people, plus your practicals and your case studies and your other things you do. There's a doozy of a final exam. It's a doozy. Everyone says it's a doozy. And everyone also says, boy, it was a doozy, but I'm glad I did it because it made sure I learned everything. It made sure I got my money's worth, is the way I put it. We'll make sure you get your money's worth. And I ask every graduate, did you get your money's worth? And the most common phrase is, hell yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, because we promised them some of that stuff. So actually, thank you guys for all these questions, because of course we wanted to answer those too. But Mayor even said, or it might be Mayor, I apologize. It says money mindset and FDN success. What's the difference that makes the difference for these practitioners? And there's so many things here. It's such a topic that Reed and I are very passionate about. But to Reed's point of what he just said, just so you guys know, I have been on live events for marketing. So we did not tell these people what they're going to get asked beforehand. And I have asked them live in front of 100 people, they paid $9,000 for the FDN course. So your guys are going to be cheaper because you get the discount price for Black Friday. So we asked them live. I said, be honest. Like, you don't want to lie. There's no point in lying in sales and marketing. That's a terrible thing to do. Never do that in your business. Every single person, you can't fake that reaction, Reed, right? Like, you can tell when someone's just trying to be nice or on the line. Well, yeah, no, it was worth it, whatever. I mean, these people are ecstatic about it. And I can even speak for my wife, Maddie. She went to college. She has, well, we won't say how much in student loans. Let's just say thank God for FDN, because it's helping us pay them off. It's more than 50K, we'll put it that way.
Wow.
And I took that on. So I don't know what I was thinking. But
the idea is that it's really robust. And I've had the same thing, Evan. People tell me that, boy, I wish I'd have known about FDN 2 years ago or 3 years ago or 4 years ago, because they spent 80 grand or 100 grand getting a master's or even a PhD, whereas this is like the Bruce Lee of all that. It's cutting to the chase. It's getting the job done fast. It's learning what you need to learn to put into practice to help people to actually get results. And when you actually get results, those people refer you business, which saves you a ton of money on customer acquisition. AKA marketing. I really hate marketing. It's not, I'm designed to help people. But, now that we have a movement, we have to market. So I try to do that in the same way. Bruce Lee, every time you give a webinar or talk or anything, you get a group together, you should get 4 or 5 customers if you want them. Remember, you're going to interview every single person, decide, A, can I help this person? And B, do I want to help this person? Only then would you offer your services. We don't go around begging for business in this, in our world.
I wanted to add this. So sorry, but I got off track. The point was, Maddie spent over 50K on college, and she doesn't mind me sharing this stuff, had never made more than $3,500 in a month. And this isn't a judgment. I'm just saying that's the result that she got from spending all that on college. She did the FDN course. We took the risk. And I say risk just in the sense of, I know how good FDN is, but we still had that money. It's like, dang, we're going to put out another, 9-10 grand for this. We did that. She graduated late last year. This is now a girl, again, before, never made more than $3,500 in a month. And literally last month it was October, so 2 months ago now, she had her first 10K month. She made back the cost of tuition in 1 month directly because of what she learned at FDN. And it's not, guys, just because we're talking about money mindset stuff doesn't mean it's about money, but you're also, practical, right? You guys probably have your budgets and you want to know that if you spend on this, that you're going to make this back. This works. If Maddie was here, she would tell you this is not a business person. She's the opposite of me. It's an opposites attract thing. She's not into business, not into sales, not into any of that, not going to get on live on a webinar like this. And she still figured it out. So when you have real skills to help people, that translates into currency. And in fact, that's the best way to make money. That's how you should do it. You should be serving other people and they pay you for that service and they're happy to do it because you gave them a good service that was worth the amount that you charged. So that's really it. One thing that came up, Reed, though, too, I wanted to talk about this is, again, you do have an entrepreneurial mindset, and even listening to your story and getting to meet you many times in person, I know you've been this way for a while. So for those that aren't, when they picture this idea of they're going to graduate and they're going to go out and take on clients, they're going to charge 3-4 grand. They got to pay for the lab tests and stuff. To some people, they've never even sold lemonade at a lemonade stand when they were a kid, right? Let alone multi-$1,000 packages. So one of the questions that came up are, do people really spend that much money on this stuff? Can they afford it? So what would you have to say to that?
Well, the answer is yes. People have already spent a lot of money by the time they get to you, and you're going to just direct and focus their next investment to something that actually works. And so we're a fee for service business. That means we charge a fee for a service, just like lawyers do. You know, I've never walked into a lawyer's office with a problem and they didn't say, okay, I think I can help you, write me a check for $5,000. As a retainer. So we work like that. It's a fee for service. And if that's not for you, you can learn it and you'll enjoy it. And it's actually very emancipating because you work your own hours, you work from anywhere in the world. You get all that emotional enrichment from helping people. You get your own health freedom. You walk the talk. And then you also get financial freedom. That those 5 freedoms, if you will, are what we're about. That's what being a health entrepreneur is supposed to be. So every concept that I just went over is taught about in depth. Now, listen, I have to go because I have my own health to work on. We believe very much here at FDN in walking the talk. So I actually have a consult coming up in 2 minutes with my own health person. You know, I'm 71 years old. We're constantly learning. Our bodies are changing. We're all on a journey. There's nobody at the top of the steps. Everybody's on the steps trying to get the maximum health that they can get, you know, genetically speaking. Like, what's the best you could possibly be? We're all on that stairway. Some people are below us on the stairway. We help them up. Some people might be above us. And I have people like that. I have my own mentors and things. So I'm going to go to an appointment in just a minute. I'm going to duck out, but I'm going to ask you or Brandy to just say, what is the deal for, like, what's the last deal? What I can say is you won't see this deal again, and you're going to get to run the labs in yourself, learn everything you need to know to get started in an amazing business. And if you're already in business, we'll up level your skills so you can add more revenue. So we have nutritionists and personal trainers and even chiropractors and acupuncturists and lots of nurses, by the way. I saw a nurse, and thank you for being here. Nurses want this too. They want to learn the entire model so they're not stuck in, you know, a cubbyhole somewhere being frustrated. And so with that, I have to go to this other meeting. I love you.
We got you covered, Reed. Guys, stay with us. I'll be on for another 10, 15 minutes. I'll rapid fire some questions for you. Don't worry. So we'll share the deal again and we'll get this done. But Reed, I'm glad you're doing the health consult. That's awesome.
Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys. So let's keep buffing some stuff out here. In terms of just saying the sale again, so everyone knows what it is, it's $1,000 off if you do a payment plan. So we offer in-house payment plans. There is a third-party finance option, but we're one of the only places that I know that you know, we kind of take the risk ourselves. We go out to 24 months for you guys in-house, no credit check. We're not looking into your background. We're just trusting that, you know, you're a good person and going to honor this. Obviously, if you stop paying us, you will not be an FDN. I'll tell you that. But you can start for as low as those 24-month payment plans, which is great. So it's $1,000 off 24 months or 12-month payment plans. If you pay in full, you get $1,250 off, all in USD, by the way. And then you get an additional $800 in bonuses. The reason Reed was saying that you will not see that again, he wasn't being dramatic or trying to be overly salesy. We mean this legitimately. The course in 2025 is going to go through what it goes through usually every 2 to 3 years and get like a big buff upgrade. So we always throw in little things every few months. There's always these upgrades or updates, you can call them. Every few months or every few years, it gets like a big one. When that happens, we have to raise the price of the course accordingly. So when he says this sale price will never be available again, we do mean that literally. I don't have a date in 2025. I don't even think Reed has a date. So we're not like gatekeeping information from you guys. We haven't decided on that as a team, but that is coming. Now, one might ask, well, wait, do I have to pay for the updates and the upgrades when they come? No, I do not know of any other program that does this. In fact, most of the programs that I know of, I'm just speaking objectively, right? I know anyone that's on a webinar is going to hype up the program that they represent. Hey, Brandy, they're going to hype up the program that they represent. But again, go find me one that does one of these two or both of these things. They don't kick you out of the course after you graduate after like a year or 2 years, and they give you the updates at no additional cost. I don't know any program that does that. So Brandy, who just joined me, she's our COO. Unfortunately, FDN does not prevent colds, just so you guys know. So she has, I think, sorry if I'm wrong, you have 4 kids, right?
I do have 4 kids. Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, she got a cold, but thank you for still hopping on with me, even with that. And, yeah, so no other course that I know of is not going to not only give you the course forever, but also give you the updates. And her and I mean, you graduated 10 years ago now. I graduated 7.5, 8. And the course was a different price back then. Let's put it that way. And we still continue to get these updates. So,
Yeah,
all right. All right. Do you mind we just rapid fire these together?
that's fine. But I just want to give a shout out to Danielle Friend. She just signed up for the course.
Nice. All right.
So
Welcome,
welcome,
Danielle.
Danielle.
It's always my favorite live because it's just like, it's the last day. So people get
Yeah.
excited and they're ready to go. Is this doable in parallel with my PhD degree? I am in my final year doing the write-up. I might almost argue, I know this sounds funny, Rita, I might almost argue that it's easier because you're someone that is already used to putting studying time in your schedule. So if FDN required you 10 hours a day, of course, that'd be ridiculous to say that you would do that at the same time. But really, someone like you, first of all, if you're smart enough to do a PhD, that says something about your ability to retain information, let's be honest. But two, if you can just put out an hour a day solidly dedicated to FDN, you'll finish within the 12 months. You think that's fair to say, Brandy?
Yeah, absolutely. We have people that do simultaneous certifications at the same time. So if you're dedicated, you can absolutely do it.
Okay. Evan's been great on the Zoom. Thank you, Bill. I hope Reed saw that. Jamie said, I signed up yesterday and already did the first few lessons and I'm loving it so far. Awesome, Jamie. Okay. Oh, Rachel, I missed you. I apologize. I just want to clarify. Once a graduate, we still can't actually order/get results for these lab tests without a licensed physician. So do we have to keep paying FDN to be a part of the medical director program, or is there a cost per test ordered that covers that?
So I answered that in the chat,
Oh,
but
sorry.
that's okay. I think it's helpful for other people. So when you graduate from the course, you automatically get access to all of the testing through our medical director program and also through our partner, Avexia Diagnostics. So long as you are a graduate in good standing. And that means that you are up to date on your tuition payments and that you are staying recertified every 2 years. And the recertification is 12 hours of continuing education and a $99 fee. So it's pretty easy to do. Where our fees involved is when you want to use our clinical advisors, we do charge for that. And that's our team of FDNs that are trained directly with the lab to support you with interpretation and case support. And if you order a test through our FDN medical director program, we charge that fee, but we include the clinical advisor session. And why would you order through us and not through Avexia? We are able to service international clients, and we're also able to service New York, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, which is an issue for many of the lab companies. And then there are some tests that Avexia does not have that we offer through the medical director program. So we've got you covered regardless.
Yeah, and I actually see, Brenda, thank you so much for your help. I know a lot of these questions did get answered. The only reason it's worth still going through is because the YouTube later would not be able to see the questions. So now they can hear the answers. What days of the week are the interactive calls? So I always overemphasize this because every time this gets misinterpreted. So it's not you, Danielle, just making sure I'm dotting my I's and crossing my T's. The interactive calls are not part of the curriculum in the sense they are not required to graduate. You can miss every single one while you're doing FDN, still have the information to graduate, and you're good to go. These are added support stuff just based on community feedback over the years. They enjoy it. And let's be honest, it's fun getting to connect with everyone while you're going through. With that said, the optional calls that are not part of the curriculum, 1 o'clock Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time on Wednesdays. That is Hot Topics with Elizabeth Gaines. She's our education director. So picture Reed's right-hand woman in terms of the education and course content. That has become like a fan favorite, you know what I mean? An FDN favorite. They freaking love that thing with her. So she dives very deep into certain hot topics of the course and kind of gives you a different perspective. She has different analogies that she offers. So sometimes one person's teaching style can help solidify information in your head, and maybe it didn't solidify before. The other one is also at 1 o'clock Eastern time, and that's on Fridays. That is the one where Reed hops on with the trainees. If you're a graduate, it's 2 o'clock. He hops on that afterwards. But Reed actually still to this day hops on with the trainees, and you can ask him questions about maybe something you didn't understand in the course, or if you're preparing to get your business ready, you can ask him stuff about that. All right, Brandy. Bill asked, does the FDN program include sample client contracts and documentation forms?
Yes, we do. We have intake forms and a sample terms of service agreement that you can edit and make yourself once you've graduated.
And again, thank you guys. I know we're redoing some of these. It's just because we're doing a replay later and they're not able to see the chat. So we want them to get these things answered. I'll throw this to you again too. Can we explain the recertification process, please?
Yeah, so recertification is 12 hours of continuing education every 2 years. It could be FDN advanced courses, or it can be any course that is related to health and wellness, and a $99 recertification fee. So it's pretty straightforward. We haven't had any issues with people being able to get those 12 hours.
Okay. All right. So this class is going to help me I guess they meant evaluate my own health with evaluating lab tests. Yes. I would almost argue, Brandy, that like the original ones of us, like definitely the first like 5 to 6 years, I feel like the vast majority of us got in solely because we were looking for our own health stuff. And then this business work side becomes like a byproduct because you just can't talk about anything else. It's very hard to go back to a normal working world when you realize, wait, this is true for me. I'm not making a claim, but this was true for me. I had 7 different diagnosed health conditions at 18. I don't have those anymore. I can't go to a normal 9 to 5. I got to tell other human beings that exists. So not only will it help you evaluate your own health in addition to teaching you how to do it for others, Monique, I would almost argue that that's why, the original first 1,000 or so FDNs, that's probably the sole reason that they came in. And that's still true to this day, Brandy. I mean, most people that come through have some health struggles, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why I joined the course, was just to work on myself. So, and to Evan's point, once you learn this, you can't shut up about it. So, and Monique asked, is there an additional cost inside the program besides the initial cost? Or sorry, there are additional costs. The only other thing would be we do not include the food sensitivity food sensitivity test. We give you information on how to get that at a discount. And that's only because we are international and the test varies depending on where you live.
Right. So meaning we would be overcharging some and undercharging others. That's the only reason we don't include that. But you get the other tests, which is so cool. Okay. Bill said, did I also hear that there is an advanced class available for additional charge that teaches how to use traditional blood draws in our practice?
Yes, that's our advanced blood chemistry course. And if there's any advanced course I recommend our graduates take, that is the first one, because it can be very helpful for you in practice because your clients have blood work from their doctor, so they can bring it to you. You can look at it from a functional perspective. I will say, though, that course alone is not going to help you solve people's problems because what you find on the blood work usually has more questions than answers, but it can be helpful.
All right, since we're going to be coming up relatively close to the end of our time soon, guys, I don't mean this in like some cheesy way, but it's kind of serious. I know that you're probably looking at multiple things because it's Cyber Monday, Black Friday, and our sale does end today. It's a hard end. So if you have anyone, or if anyone's out there and you're like, I wish they would just answer this or talk about this because you're on the fence, let us know. We would much rather you get an informed decision and choose something else that works for you than join this or make an impulsive decision and ask for your money back, 2 months down the road. So we want to help you out. Let us know about any last pressing things that you need to know the answer to decide if FDN is or is not a good fit for you. Chelsea asked, do I have to start the course immediately once I pay? No, you do not. But keep in mind, once you pay, that 12-month timer, if you will, is still active. So you have 12 months to finish the course from the time that you pay. One thing I don't think Reed mentioned, because they're really reasonable, and I think we should say it directly. What are the extension fees currently? Because it's not like they're thousands of dollars if you need some extra time.
Yeah, so we have a 3-month extension and it's $227
For 3 months extra.
for 3 months. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Chelsea, the way I do it in my head is I'm like, well, if I get this huge discount for Black Friday and I can't even start the course for 3 months and I did have to do the extension, that's assuming that you even have to do it, which you might not. Obviously it was still a good deal. And we didn't say this today yet either. So we always track what the average graduation rate is. Now, keep in mind, like Reed said, some people do it in several months, but it is self-paced. So we track averages. So what's the average graduation rate right now? 9.5 months?
Yeah, about 9 months to complete the course. Yeah.
Yeah. So Chelsea, even if you need 2-3 month buffer right now, the odds are you're probably not even going to need the extension. So you can get the deal now and start later. All right. Are we taking our own blood? No, you would need to be a phlebotomist to do that. Probably some extra licensure. I'm not sure, but at least a phlebotomist, that's for sure. So in America, because this is not true everywhere. So that's why I want to say this for our international listeners. In America, in about, I think it's like 45 or 46 out of the 50 states, you actually have the ability to skip insurance and pay out of pocket for blood work. People don't really know that this exists, but it does. So I'm in Pennsylvania right now, and I live in North Carolina. Actually, I'm visiting family. But in both of these states, I can go online, I can pay for the blood markers I want, and I can get them. So obviously that's pretty stupid if you don't know what you're reading, but I'm just saying we have the right to do that. Internationally, the benefit to taking the blood chemistry course would be 99 out of 100 people that come to you to work with you as an FDN, it wasn't the first thing that they did. Now, we would love it to be that way, right? But people aren't starting with alternative. They start with conventional, and that is a good thing. I want them to figure out if they have cancer or something more serious than these chronic symptoms. Not lessening chronic symptoms, by the way, but we need to know if something dire is going on. So it's good that they start with conventional medicine. What is conventional medicine always going to do? They're going to run blood work. And so even if you're in a country outside of the United States, or you're in a state that doesn't do the blood draw stuff, your clients are still going to have blood work. And what's cool about blood work is the markers remain the same, no matter whether or not you're analyzing them from a functional perspective or a conventional perspective. We're using functional labs that Western medicine might not use at all, but blood work, if I'm looking at homocysteine, it's still the same homocysteine with Western medicine that it is functional. We just might have a difference in agreement on what the range should be, but that's a whole separate conversation. Okay.
Awesome. And Sheen is asking if one needed additional help on a client after graduation, is there support? Yes, that's our clinical advisors. And it's $65 for a 30-minute session. And we have sessions all the way up to 90 minutes, and that's a full case review. And it's well worth its value. Like Evan said, I took the course 10 years ago and I still do clinical advisor sessions. It's just great to have a second pair of eyes on your client's case.
Well, you know what? It's a thing of humility too. And this is what I mean. Do I believe I can help people as an FDN? Yes. Do I also know that this person has been through all these other practitioners, all these other doctors to wind up at this point? So the reason I still do clinical advising sessions, even if I think I'm positive of everything I need to do here, it's because you have to have the humility to acknowledge that this person has paid a lot of money and they've been through a lot of stuff, and none of those individuals were able to get them better. So even though I'm very confident as an FDN, the least I can do for someone that has now trusted me with their health after they've been put through the ringer by so many other practitioners and Western medicine, unfortunately, unintentionally, but nonetheless, unfortunately, the least I can do is take 30 minutes out of my dang day to get a second set of eyes to make sure I got everything I possibly could for this client. So I'm very happy that that's there. Brenda just dropped the enroll link in the chat because I didn't have anyone that responded to my last pressing questions thing. So I'm guessing everyone that is interested in this has probably made their decision. We did cover a lot of the questions. I know we jumped around. Are there any questions that I missed that you wanted to say out loud still?
No, but for those of you that are still here, we have the question is, why are you still on the fence? We'd love to hear that. Let us know in the chat. And for those of you that have signed up already, share in there why you did sign up. What was the thing that made you decide this was the right time?
Actually, great point. If you don't mind, like if Nicole's still on, and then I forget who else it was, but it would be kind of interesting to know, especially since you were just on this call. Like, what did we say on this call that led us to doing this? We need some market research. Nicole and Danielle. All right. And while we're waiting for that, I know we did this on Instagram Live the other day, but I still think it's, oh, wait, here we go. Ruth Ann said, literally more debt in the line, have school debt. Oh, okay, very interesting. So, I mean, Ruth Ann, just to be clear, I would never tell someone to, only you know your financial situation. I would never tell someone to do something that's going to affect food on the table or lights. That's ridiculous. What I will say is this, and I actually mentioned this earlier, so I'm not just telling a story for the sake of it. My wife, we got married and there was a lot of student loan debt. I've made plenty of stupid decisions in my life, but I didn't go to college, so I had no student loan debt. And it's a big bill. When you start to think about the amount that's involved with it, it's certainly not a debt that goes away, right? It's like one of the only ones in America. Bankruptcy doesn't fix it. I don't even think death fixes it. Maybe that's the only thing. I forget which one, but it's scary stuff. And we said, all right, right now with where your skills are at for the marketplace, at least, and just happiness in the marketplace, are we going to pay off that debt faster doing what we're doing now? Or by, yes, taking on a little bit more debt here, but adding skills that I already know works. And we can, thank God, say, I mean, now it's easier to say this in hindsight because it's been a year, but we can say it was worth it. You know, what used to take 3 months of income, Maddie's now making, my wife, in 1 month. And what's crazy is that's mostly supplementary income. So now her student loan thing, which before we met was going to be, hey, maybe I get to pay this in 20 years. Now we're like, how do we pay this by the end of the calendar year 2025? So just something to think about. But again, I'm someone, I would never tell an individual to do something that, I mean, really creates stress that they're not comfortable with. But Brandy, do you have anything to add to that?
Just to say that I have never regretted my investment, and I have more than probably 20x my investment that I put in the course. It's probably the best investment I've ever made.
Yeah. All right. Chelsea said, for me right now, the chunk of money up front and not being able to dedicate study time till January, February. Okay. Remember, for whatever it's worth, with the 24-month payment plans, if I'm not mistaken. So what does that come out to? Like $383 a month?
Yeah, 383 on the 24-month.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned, Evan, that there's generally is plenty of time. You could get through the course even faster than 9 months. Don't think that you have to be doing this full time. You could take advantage of the sale now. Even if you don't start till the end of January, there's still plenty of time for you to complete it. So if that's one of your worries, reach out to us. Happy to have a conversation with you.
Okay. Nicole said, oh, this is a answer as to why she signed up for the course. Nicole, you rock. Thank you so much, one, for still being on, but two, for answering this. It was the first course out of all the others that I have done that I fully align with, or seen, I guess, that she fully aligns with. I feel it will propel me forward this year, both in my health and finally getting organized and serve people in the way I was made to. There was no reason not to. Awesome. I like that. Sounds good to me. I'm doing it because, okay, Nicole, I love this mindset too. I'm doing it because we need the money. We could not afford not to. They're going to think you're a paid spokesperson, Nicole. That was too good of a line. Thank you.
Bianca asked, what happens if you fail the exam? You're able to retake it. We have a very low fail rate because our mentors do such a great job of preparing you through the course. But if that happens, you are able to retake the exam.
All right, what is the total cost of the course with the sale? Annie, with the payment plans, $1,000 off. That's $7,997, all USD. With the $1,250 off, that's the pay in full, where you get the $800 of bonuses as well. That would come, I'm probably $5 off because it's $3, but it's roughly $7,750. I think 7,747 is what it would be.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Reed also said he would teach us how to speak to people so we can help and learn how to choose which people we can and cannot help. Yeah, oh, yeah. And that's one of the biggest things, right? Like, I think all of us at this point have been on some type of free call with a practitioner or whatever. And like, we know that they're really just trying to sell us. We don't do that at the FDN course, and we don't promote that for our FDN practitioners. It is a legitimate interview to see if this is a good fit long-term. Even at FDN, think about this. You're about to come into a community. You can interact with us live twice a week. There's a graduate group. You can interact with us live there. Why would we want to ever sell someone something if we know that they're not going to like this? Now you're mad at us. You're saying negative things in the community. We're not happy. We don't feel good that we sold it to you. So we teach the same thing to the salespeople here that we do to FDN practitioners. You actually interview the person, you see what their needs are, and see if you're a good fit. Isn't that like a crazy concept that you can actually do that on a sales call? Sales doesn't have to be dirty, doesn't have to be a slimy thing. You help the person. And if you're really good at this, even when the person is not a good fit for you, you do the extra right thing by getting them to the place that is. It could be a book. It could be a YouTube video. Brandy knows, I think some part of you must not like this, but I think you at least respected me. When I did course enrollment advising at FDN, there was time I probably advised 10% of people out to other programs just because I knew it was a better fit for them. And I wanted them to have success in what they're doing. So yes, that's how you do it, Danielle. And we teach you that in the course, because onboarding your clients, if you do this right, this work is heaven on earth. It will never feel like work. You won't even believe that you can get paid for this. You work with the wrong people. Well, I won't say it live, but it's the opposite of heaven. So you got to do it correctly. All right. Anna said, so many extra fees for everything, like Dutch course, blood panel, medical director, 75, business, some. Yeah.
Can I talk about Dutch? We actually have free Dutch lessons. So when you graduate, there's a ton of free, I think Reed did not mention this correctly. We actually have a Dutch 101 module for you when you graduate, and there's a whole bunch of free Dutch webinars. So you don't have to pay for the advanced Dutch course.
Yeah. So there's that. The blood panel, I mean, yeah, that's a whole separate training. So we allow
But
you to.
It's not required, though. You don't
Right.
have to run a blood panel.
Even medical director, I'm thinking that like that's the partnership with the Avexia covers most of that. The medical director fee is because we're getting a privilege that, you know, either you, one, have to be a doctor for, or two, even if you are a doctor, you can't go out of your license. So if I'm a doctor in Pennsylvania, very often I can't do anything in Jersey. So, I mean, I don't know. I'll happily pay a fee to be able to work with clients internationally, I guess.
And our clinical advisors, if you were to pay for an hour of their time in their own practice, it would be quadruple that price. So you're getting a very good deal. Talking with them, they are very, very knowledgeable. And for the amount of money you pay to get time with them, it's absolutely worth it.
And actually, this was probably me misspeaking. So fair enough on this last point, because she said, you know, some initial business stuff should be included, just start the ground running, etc. That actually is. So Reed does teach you how to onboard these clients, what to do, how to take the payment and all that stuff. The business school actually was only released in, or was that August of 23? Is that right?
2022. Yeah.
Yeah. So for years, FDN's been around without the business school. That really came because of the changing times, right? There's so much technology that's involved. There's CRMs, there's the autoresponders, there's all this stuff. And we realized, you know, we might as well be the one to offer it, because what our FDNs were doing is they're going and paying someone else 5 or 10 grand to go learn that stuff. And it's actually probably worth it as a standalone for 5 or 10 grand, but we're not in the business of selling you business coaching. So we might as well create the thing. We'll sell it for as cheap as we can, and we add it on. All right. I actually have a podcast in 5 minutes now. So I want to hop on for that guest, if that's okay. And are we going to conclude this here, I think?
Yeah, I actually have a call as well.
Okay.
Right away.
Guys, thank you so much. If you do have last second questions, Brenda, I'm so sorry to put you on the spot. Can we put in, I don't know if there's a last second link or an email. Okay. You guys can email there. Also, Instagram. Don't underestimate that. We do have real human beings that work there that help you out. So at FDN Training on Instagram, shoot us a direct message with any last second questions. The sale is good till the end of the day today, Pacific time, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. If you don't know time zones very well, it's California time. $1,000 off for the course with payment plans, $1,250 off if you pay in full. You also get an additional $800 in bonuses. Because we don't have any major sales coming up after this, and because the course is going up in 2025, this is the last time, literally, honest to God, to get the course at this price. So if you guys are able to swing it and do it, we can't wait to see you on the other side. I'll see you in the trainee group and in the graduate group, and we hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.